Alrighty. I saw a timer going, and I was like, I guess we need to start going. I don't know if it's a small bomb.
I think that's what that means.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out here today. I really appreciate it. We have got a little bit of a sneak peek into what it takes to make some levels and some design elements within Killing Floor 3. So I'm going to pass it over to Trent here, and he's going to fire up this deck, and we'll start to go through it. So quick introduction. My name is Brian Wanya, and I am Tripwire's Studio Creative Director.
My name is Chris Goodwin. I'm the lead level designer.
I'm Jared Creasy, Senior Community Manager at Tripwire. You might know me better online as Yoshiro if you hang out in our Discord or various forums. Hello.
And I'm Trenton Mendoza. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Tripwire. It's been a little bit since we've had Killing Floor at PAX, so we're super excited to give you a sneak peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah, I'm seeing my teeth like that. I will preface that those were fake teeth that our UI guys just made look like my real teeth. So definitely double guessing that thought now. All right, let's move over to building a dystopian world. Let's talk a little bit about what dystopia means and what dystopia means within Killing Floor 3, right? How many of you guys are fans of Killing Floor? Hopefully a few, and you didn't just, okay, awkwardly show up. Awesome. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's always been very challenging when someone's like, tell me about your zombie game. And it's like, they're Zeds, they're not zombies, right? I hate to be that guy, but like there's a pretty clear delineation between like a bioengineered monster and the undead. So when we started Killing Floor 3, we were basically talking about if we go post-apocalyptic, that will kind of feed into some of those zombie tropes that might be too much for what we want to do. So we asked ourselves the question of what would happen if Horzine only grew in power over time? Basically, like what would happen if like Walt Disney Company started making Zeds and monsters, right? So they're manufacturing our food, they're manufacturing our cities, they're manufacturing, you know, monsters as well, and we just don't really talk about that part. If there's an outbreak, don't worry, we just kind of clean everything up. So let's dig a little bit deeper into dystopia in Killing Floor 3. So everything starts with inspiration. I'm going to date myself as a very nerdy 42-year-old horror fan. If you guys haven't seen a lot of these movies on here, I highly suggest it. One of the things that we very first started was I came to Chris and his team and was like, I would love to fight Zeds in a sewer. And it was Corey, I believe?
Yeah, our principal LD.
Yeah, Corey, who's also a member from the modding community that joined Tripwire. He wrote up just this really simple brief that kind of became the starting off point while I just got to watch horror movies. Sorry, Matt. There was a day that my kids were like, do you just watch movies? Are you homesick? And I'm like, it's my job, leave me alone. So I highly suggest watching Chud. We won't go into any details, but it is my fan theory that that is a prequel to Home Alone. I'll let you figure that out. You've got Mimic, you've got the 1980s version of The Blob. There's a little bit of, you know, Jason Taking Manhattan as well. But if you haven't seen Mimic, it's one of Del Toro's early films, and it just does a really good job of like presenting a pretty scary sewer. I got to say poop water, sorry with the little extra emphasis on poop water, but I got to say poop water at work a lot, so that was kind of fun. We're still handling the HR paperwork. All right, so after inspiration comes reference, right? It's one thing to ingest video games and movies and pop culture and all these items, but how do we make it our own? How are we not just making Mimic, or how are we not just making Chud, right? So we start looking at real-world references. This goes for our maps, this goes for our Zeds, this goes for weapons, right? Like for example, the crawler is a combination of a lot of arachnid, all right? And even if you like look at close-up elements of it, like teeth, inspiration for the teeth on the crawler actually came from x-rays from adolescents, because a lot of kids, you know, if you look at their x-rays, they basically have multiple rows of teeth. So there's your kind of creepy, weird, sad inspiration and reference for the crawler mouth. Chris, you found the image on the lower left. What is that from?
Yeah, we've got a Japanese flood control center, and this is subterranean below the city to help deal with overflow of flood water. And it kind of looks like the mines of Moria, which I always thought was really cool.
Gandalf is in the crowd right now, so I'm sorry for the flashbacks. Gandalf clearly is like, the horror of this space.
Don't speak to it.
Let's just say the dwarves aren't the only ones who have gone too deep.
Yeah, but that reference really helped us. Like, we also knew that we wanted the spread and power of Horzine to spread throughout the globe, right? So a lot of the maps that you guys have seen are now based in the US, where Horzine has relocated their primary headquarters, but there are some horror business happening in the sewers of Japan as well. So once we move from inspiration into reference, we then move into concept art, right? Concept art is basically to inform and inspire the team. These were done by our really talented lead concept artist, Hakab. His images literally just like ooze KF. He was doing, it's interesting. We gathered some inspiration for KF3 like the first week we started the project, and unknowingly I found some art online that I really liked, and it was Hakab. So then when Hakab joined the team like a few years later, I was like, let me show you some stuff that inspired us. He's like, yeah, I did those. And we were like, that's why you're here. So thank you, Hakab. When doing concept art, not only is he kind of laying out the mood, the tone, the lighting, the materials, the textures, there's also then individual call-outs. One of the things that's new for Killing Floor 3 are environmental traps. And I wouldn't necessarily they're new, because you kind of invented them for Monsters Ball, right?
Yeah, with KF2 and Monsters Ball, we had a handful of traps, and we had some people kind of first start prototyping that stuff out and had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, so when we were kind of playtesting KF2 really early on, we knew that was a feature that we wanted to build upon in KF3. So the image you kind of see in the lower right there, that's a very early version of the trap for this space. And at this point, it was kind of this like giant steam pressure system that you could use the multi-tool, which is one of the new tools that any character in the game can use. So if you kind of see something yellow in the world, you can use this multi-tool to either unlock zip lines, unlock turrets, unlock map-specific traps like this one, but you'll see later how it kind of grew and evolved over time. All right, this one is a pretty cool element of taking that reference, taking that inspiration to kind of culminate into one of the ultimate things. This is one of our vistas. Vistas are a space that kind of help communicate where you're at and what's going on. If you're a fan of KF2, Burning Paris, and you look out and you see the Eiffel Tower burning, really good example of a vista. So for KF3, being in these sewers, kind of communicating that inspiration of the Japanese sewer water system, there is a new system, or a new element, I would say, with inside Killing Floor 3 called the mire. I won't go into a ton of detail, so any of you lore hounds, this is something we're really excited about. Horzine is experimenting with this kind of like natural occurring substance called the mire. What happens when you use mire in Zeds? What happens if you use mire with people? If any of you guys, like during the beta or have seen online, like the Chimera, that's kind of the most advanced form of combining human DNA and the mire at this point. Sorry, I'm about to break like NDAs all over the place right here with what I want to talk about with the mire. Yeah, basically there's a teaser of what mire will be, but I want to pass the mic to Chris now and talk a little bit in detail about level design.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian. This is a really special honor for me to be here at this time and doing this, because the last time I attended PAX was back in, I believe it was 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. And I was sitting out in the audience at that time. I came from the community as a mapper. I got involved in some of the mapping contests. I got my roots back with KF1, made probably a dozen maps for KF1, as many or more with KF2. And what we've got here, this picture is me doing a Foster with Alan Wilson.
Is that who that old man is?
Yeah, he's always the popular character.
If you're fans of Tripwire, many of you will know Alan. We are not letting him retire. We are just slowly pulling him into decks in any way possible to kind of always be a part of the team. So thank you, Alan. I showed this him like the day before he showed up. He was like, what?
Yeah, so it's been quite the journey. I'm just about 10 years in with Tripwire at this point, and it's been fantastic going all the way up through KF3. Getting into some of the level design. So what we've got here is a block-out image of the map sewers. This is the map that we've been showcasing here with these slides today. And what we've got here is a bird's eye view in what we would call gray box or white box. Early development of the maps, it's going to have very little detail, very little lighting, and it's just enough to convey what the general shapes and area are. All the gameplay is developed in this space and tested and iterated on until the team feels satisfied that we have good gameplay. And from that point forward, it would then pass on to other departments to start giving it all of the poop water and
Yeah.
Making
poop
that
water.
pretty,
Et cetera.
pretty disgusting, awful-looking poop water.
When we prototype in those early stages, we were working at home like during COVID, and my daughters just thought I was playing like Roblox for like 7 hours a day. And then when they saw it look like this, they're like, "What happened to the game, Dad?"
Yeah, so speaking of which, here's our segue into, this is a much more recent shot of the sewers. This is what it would look like. This is an in-game shot taken from it. And just to give you guys an idea of kind of what exists behind the scenes, here's some screenshots of the actors that are hidden that we work with in the Unreal 5 engine. So we have a bunch of different views here. There's a lot of actors. Some of what we've got is collision volumes that prevent the players from getting out of bounds. They also keep the Zeds contained, if that can be done. Ooh. And then we've also got the green nav mesh with a system called Havoc, and that controls where the Zeds can and cannot go, as well as the crawler navigation on walls.
Yeah, Chris and his team really have to think about a lot of super complex systems to make a play space. It's not literally just like playing with Legos and building an area and be like, all right, go. This work and with the team of our, with the help of our AI team is why crawlers can finally crawl on walls. I know that's something that you guys have wanted for a really long time. It was one of the first endeavors for having Zeds navigate, and then it led into other elements like having the Husk have the ability to fly now. We'll talk a little bit more about Zed navigation in a moment, but you can thank this guy when you have crawlers crawling over your head, and our AI team for, we call it the cone of danger. In KF1 and 2, the cone of danger, like a lot of Zeds are along the same kind of head height, so you can kind of strafe side to side and shoot Zeds. Well, you're going to really have to keep your head on a swivel now because Zeds can attack you from almost every angle. The cone of danger is large.
I don't think I should thank Chris for that.
No.
Direct it to somebody else. Okay, what we've got here is an example of how we've evolved some of our gameplay. One of the things with level design is what can we do to push the player? What can we do to change the environment? How can we, especially with Killing Floor, there's kind of the nature of repetition of you play the same map and you go through it and you continue going wave through wave. And we really wanted to see, while that is a good formula, how we could update that and upgrade that and add some dynamic elements. So what we've got here is destructible walls.
Some things start really simple too, like if you guys are making your own games or whatnot, like doors, just a simple door can provide hundreds of questions and challenges. How does the player open the door? Who else can go through the door? Can I open this door? Can you lock that door? One of the challenges that we always had in previous games was Zed's height were determined by spaces, and in particular doorways. So we just got to a point really early on, because I really wanted the Flesh Pound to be the tallest classic returning Zed, and then the Impaler was something that I'd been thinking about for a long time, where it's like Horzine's newest thing. It's basically like if you were to buy a weapon from Horzine and you wanted to take on like a tank, how would you do that with a Zed? And that's what the Impaler was. So the creative inspiration and reference for that was a silverback gorilla meets an M1 Abram and then just shoving a giant knife in its face, right? And so then we're like, dude, how does that thing get through a door? And we were just like, screw it, just destroy not only the door, but the door frame as well. And then that led to Chris and them knocking out certain things. Jared, you like this space because of?
So it really, especially in sewers, it's one of the first maps where we're starting to explore adding new play spaces because the Zeds have opened up a way for you. So there are parts to sewers that you can't access until the Zeds Kool-Aid Man moment you, which is coin term,
Yep.
Feel free to use it.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, like, not only is there surprise, you look behind where he came from, you're like, oh, that's a new place. I can go there. There's something for me to experience there. And in fact, one of my favorite holdout spots is in this map behind one of those walls.
What we've got here is giving an example of a holding space for the players. Now we've got a bunch of different classes that deal with either short range, medium range, long range, and we want to give all of the players an opportunity to be effective in the battlefield. Highlighted in the kind of like red around the perimeter of this image, we have different access points for Zeds. We've got the one with the crosshairs, or the crosshatches rather, where that's a breakable wall. Large Zeds are going to be able to bust in through that, which will change the play space drastically. We've got a trader pod in the middle, And then what we've got highlighted in yellow there is one of our multi-tool traps. So a personal favorite of mine, just a giant fan. And you turn it on and it makes chopped Zeds very quickly. So we've got kind of a control of choke points happening here.
Now, throughout this whole entire process, we're playtesting, we're iterating. If you guys are wondering, I spent a lot of money to go to art school, and I think we can all agree it paid off. That might be the best image ever. But in all seriousness, I think Trent has like a file, or a folder just full of like hundreds of these, where they are just simple snipping tools that I grab while we're playtesting. And collaboration is a massive part not only of Killing Floor 3, but Tripwire, how we develop games as a team. So it's like, we'll have good ideas, we'll have bad ideas, and as a team, we got to be able to talk about it. So this was like a really early idea of, this space is really reminding me of Alien, so maybe we can have elements where there's like these researchers that crawlers have kind of cocooned in this area and stuff like that. And then the kind of green squiggle, I'll talk about Easter eggs in a minute, but if there's any Maneater fans out there, that's kind of an elusive idea of like something that we could possibly do. So Chris, and in all honesty, the entire team is very generous with allowing me to provide them with these sometimes very confusing drawings. And then we move on to environment art. We get to a point where we're playtesting the space, we're blocking out the space, and that we need to start adding that art, that poop water, as we will say. Dude, Sandy, HR back home, is like, you got to stop saying this. This is a public place. But yeah, our team has been looking at some really awesome stuff, making some very gross stuff as well. Misty, our lead environment artist, and AK, our art director, they have just done a fantastic job of capturing Hakab's images, and kind of like, when you're in this space, you can kind of feel the moisture and the dampness. I literally just got a message like before this meeting started as well, where Ed, our audio engineer, there is a chance that if you're exploring this space that you can hear someone mumbling and then like screaming and asking for help underneath that pile of bodies in the middle. So thank you, Ed. That was a very fun, twisted moment.
I was going to say, speaking of people I don't want to thank again, like that other video you showed me, but we may share with the community later, may make you not want to have mustard for a while.
Yeah, there was a lot of mustard used to make monster sounds, so you're not going to want mustard again. Thanks. Environmental storytelling. So lore is definitely a part that is growing in Killing Floor 3. I don't know about you guys, but like, I want to know more about the worlds that I experience, whether it's a comic that I'm reading or a movie that I'm watching. But the big thing is Killing Floor combat comes first, right? That gameplay of me and my friends back to back fighting Zeds. But as we play those maps over and over and over again, we want to layer elements in there that are either a cool, funny Easter egg that you might enjoy, like the audio of someone asking for help or crying or screaming underneath this pile of bodies, but then also alluding to a bigger picture. So this is where you can start to see more of that mire infestation in this area. What's going to happen? I don't know. We got to figure it out together, right? And then some of those Easter eggs. So that little doodle of what I was trying to draw as an alligator ends up becoming, any Maneater fans out there, as one of our last ship titles that we really enjoyed. We hid Rosie, who was one of the apex predators or bosses inside Maneater. I guess we're confirming that those two worlds exist with each other now, that somehow Rosie ended up in a Japanese sewer system. Not only are some Easter eggs visible, but there's also Easter eggs that you can hear as well. So Rocky Gray and Mark Muraski are audio and composers. They've done a fantastic job of layering the world with awesome new music, some returning KF2 music as well. But there's also this element where you can take the music slider and just turn it down, and like when you're between waves, instead of skipping that wave, go explore, go work on your assignments, and the audio that you'll hear, it definitely adds to that kind of horror survival element, and Ed has hid quite a few audio little Easter eggs that you guys might remember from some of the past Killing Floor games. So to kind of encompass building a map, you kind of see where it started, and then you see where it ends up. And it's really cool because you can see as we play test things that worked, things that didn't work. Like I think you're gonna see here in a second, there's like in the middle of one of the holdout rooms, yeah, like right there, we put a turret and there was like a table that you could jump on. But it ended up really like bogging the player down. So it's like, let's just blow this space out and give more room for players to kind of navigate. You see that trap that went from a steam one to now it's got a series of pipes that kind of carry some of that gross, disgusting, toxic water that when you use a multi-tool, it will overload that machine, it'll heat up and explode, and then that slime will basically melt. I think I literally got a video yesterday just showing updated slime from Santiago of just like, there's like more slime, more! And now there's just like gallons of it pouring out, so thank you for that. But yeah, it's always a really satisfying experience as a developer and as a creator to have a really loose idea and then work with a group of people to make this a reality where you guys get to fight Zeds in these spaces. I will warn you that you will die a lot in this map. It is very claustrophobic. I highly suggest using your flashlight. It is by far my favorite map. It's the most recent map that we've done as well. So I can talk about it all day, but let's talk about one of the most important parts, and that's playtesting. You can see here our capture artist Tiago is playtesting, seeing how all of these things that we've talked about come together for what is your guys' experience as players. You guys are not only witnessing sewers being playtested, but you're seeing new Zed behaviors. You're seeing new animations for not only the weapons, but for Zeds as well. I would like to thank our community for nicknaming the Scrake Dr. Hook. That hook pulling is devastating, but I will show you in a minute a cool way that you can utilize it to work in your favor as well. Also, please always just punch crawlers in the face. Bill Monk, one of the original founders of Killing Floor, you can see he's added back in where like Zed will be reaching for their missing heads. But this moment right here, you're gonna see basically a Scrake and a Fleshpound pressuring Tiago, some other trash Zed get in the way, and that's when the Scrake hit that cyst with it and just exploded. So if you kind of like have that balance there. Sorry, I'm not really sure what's going on with the feed. We'll get that taken care of there. Trent, do you mind checking that out? Maybe a streaming issue, I don't know. Or is the Fleshpound literally just hitting us that hard? Okay. I don't think we're supposed to show that.
Yeah, that's not supposed to be here.
If it says do not show at PAX East, sorry. We'll try to get this figured out, but... What are NDAs and how do those work? You guys are the first people to see this, by the way, so sorry, maybe? We'll get that fixed. Let's do this. While you fix the feed, why don't we just show you live gameplay, and we'll try to see if Jared can survive a gameplay in sewers. Does that sound good?
Let's see if I can do it better than Tiago. And since
right,
you said use your flashlight, let's do a no flashlight run.
There you go. By the way, it's no pressure playing the game in front of a room full of people. That's like, not single headshots, please.
Yep.
You got this, Jared.
One of the things I love about this map is we talked about play spaces, and knowing your play spaces is key. So one of the first things I like to do is make sure I have additional places to loop around, such as to this particular room. I get rid of this door pass on my trail.
Gorefast have kind of changed pretty dramatically, where almost think of them as like velociraptors, where they kind of hunt in packs, and if you stray away from the team, you all of a sudden be like, why are there like an excessive number of Gorefast hunting me? They will basically look and hunt for the outlier. So when you're playing with your friends, definitely try to stick with each other.
turret in the game, mate.
So this is something that's pretty new. Like if you guys saw the beta, we tried some stuff with Z time and it wasn't working, right? So we heard you guys' feedback and we were basically kind of returning, but then amplifying what are the things about Z time that we've always enjoyed. So those high frame rate weapon animations, really slowing the combat down and letting that gore stand forward. It's been really nice because we have a update to our meat system, massive evisceration and trauma. Meat 2.0, you can actually see heads like flower open. You can burn Zeds where you literally see them and their skin charring. You can punch holes in different parts of their body. So the kind of reimagining of Z time is really allowing that gore to stand out. There's also been a massive update. Jeremy, our lead technical artist, has really pushed persistent blood since the last time you guys have seen it. That poor guy has watched some rough videos. So a moment of silence for Jeremy.
All right, and let's keep it going.
You're gonna see Zeds soon.
Are you playing on hard or normal?
I should be on hard.
Okay, get ready. No pressure.
The only way to play.
Even in this hallway, you're gonna notice like these red pipes. You can shoot those and they'll burn. So like they're positioned. If crawlers are on the ceiling, shoot those pipes. You'll burn things crawling at you.
Taking a dent. 25% eliminated.
Or just use the butt of their gun to knock the few teeth they have down their throat.
Yeah.
The other thing that you'll notice in the world are there'll be like little red glowing elements. These are all Horzine destructible elements. So to kind of really like stick it to Horzine and kind of earn some crafting material for yourself, make sure and take the time and kind of hunt through the space to find those. Were you guys hiding those or were Misty hiding them?
It's a group effort.
Everyone's just slowly
Department's
hiding.
gonna have fun with it. Hide them from each other.
All right, hold on. Let's, just for Chris, see if we can get some
Thank you.
Zeds into this trap.
You killed them all.
Not all of them. Oh, now there's a
Oh,
siren.
the old siren flank. When it comes to Zeds, critical zones are a pretty big thing within Killing Floor 3. If you see something glowing on an enemy, that's our way as developers to communicate to you, like, shoot here. And these critical zones will actually even communicate different elements. Like, if a Flesh Pound is a little more yellow, he's a little bit more passive, still out to kill you, but when he turns red, he's enraged. I believe the Scrake has the ability to enrage other enemies around him and kind of, like, target and pick a character as well. The Bloat, who will literally like inflate this kind of like back sack. Yes, that's a word that I just used publicly. There'll be these glowing pustules on it that if you shoot those, it really helps take him down faster. So if you're low on ammo, you don't have a ton of resources, make sure to prioritize those critical zones to kind of like take Zeds down the fastest way possible.
Feeling better already.
That clot ruined my plan to combo that Scrake.
Dr. Hook.
Yep. There we go. Stumble, finally.
So one of the things about executions in Killing Floor 3, yeah, it's one thing to smash his face into his own chainsaw. Try to utilize that when other Zeds are around, because when you basically can execute the Flesh Pound and the Scrake, when you execute those big Zeds, you're basically sending their kind of like system inside of them into overdrive, and when they explode, they will kill other Zeds as well. I also believe you get a little extra dosh for execution.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So if you're short on cash and need to take out a horde, just start executing big Zeds. It's that whole risk versus reward plan that we have. Is that Doc Brown? I love how Doc Brown came from the future for Killing Floor 3. I love it.
It's very noisy in here.
That's amazing.
I feel like there's a lesson here to learn.
All right, so one thing looking at the trader, looking at weapons going down the left, that is kind of the standard version of that weapon. And then to the right of them, those are pre-modded versions of those weapons. Mods are a massive part of Killing Floor 3. it's our way of having you have control on how you like to play with guns. Like, I ADS a lot. I'm a sharpshooter. I like to ADS. I don't want to put out a ton of heavy firepower. I want to do, I want to put out basically very large rounds downrange as far as possible to take out those larger Zeds. The cool thing about these mods are, once again, if you ADS a lot, we've got mods for that. If you like to shoot from the hip, like what's your style? What's your go-to?
Probably similar to yours,
Okay.
sharpshooter.
I will say, there is a bow and arrow, and there is a mod that has explosive tip. Yes, we watched Rambo 3 like multiple times and dissected that guy exploding from an explosive arrow. It is as awesome as you remember. We put explosive arrows in the game, and they are wildly fun to use. Hey, look.
There it is.
It's fantastic. Here before.
Yeah. So yeah, this is that area that Jared was talking about earlier, and I would definitely say, like, Corey and Chris and that team, this is the most recent map. Like, when I tell you guys, like, you're literally the first people to see this, this is incredibly hot off the presses, right? We wanted to come to PAX with something rad and cool to show you guys, and I think that, yeah, like, you and Corey and the rest of your team and everyone at Tripwire, you can definitely tell the things that we learned on building those maps early on, what this map could look like. So it really makes me excited for the future of KF3.
Uh-oh.
That flesh pound is not oh, no!
Oh, no, I'm being executed. All with 9 left. All right, I'm sure you guys are all going to critique me. So before you do, come join me at the Alienware booth and do better than me. That's my challenge to you.
We've got this crazy machine. It's like Killing Floor 3 on 3 monitors.
3 4K monitors, side by side.
It's scary as shit. Like, my neck kept breaking as the whole time you're playing. You're like, ah! All right, so I just want to take a moment and thank everyone for coming out and spending their Saturday with us, especially on a Mother's Day weekend. Please say thank you to your mother. Maybe you can play KF with her if that's what you're into.
Buy her a copy.
Yeah, so... I don't know what's happening right here. It's still kind of glitching out, but...
I thought we fixed this.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but you know what? Let's just forget the NDA part. My boss, the CEO of Tripwire, is in the audience. Maybe he can just, we can hype him up to let us show more stuff. What do you guys think, Matt?
Yeah.
Leave the thumb.
Oh, there we go. Thumbs up.
All right. I want to preface this. This is everything that we're kind of exploring, or not even everything. These are some early ideas of what the future of Killing Floor 3 will look like. Those of you that might be new to the franchise, Killing Floor 1 and Killing Floor 2 have a very long history of post-launch content, right? We've been playing KF for like, what, a decade now? And we very much want to continue to support KF3 in very similar manners. So let's just take a brief look at what the future for KF3 could look like. Earlier, when the machine was kind of glitching out and Horzine took over there, or maybe a few gremlins got in the mix, you saw a very early playtest video of a future map coming that is this jungle prison. It's this abandoned prison kind of in a rainforest that Horzine is using to kind of politely get information from enemies of the state. Some of them may have taken an acid bath there. One thing that's really important when creating something is, can I smell it? Like, I usually know that I ask myself that. It's a good thing. And this goes for everything from enemies, like the Impaler, when I could smell his breath, I was like, I feel that we're heading in the right spot. And when we started painting people in acid baths, I was like, I can smell that room, or imagine what it would smell like.
How was it?
Not great. Aggressive. So yeah, that's a fun thing for you guys now to think about. But then also exploring completely different parts of the globe, right? As we said, KF3, we wanted this idea of this dystopian future and how Horzine is growing in power. Where is Nightfall and the team going to be fighting Zeds? Once again, giant, nerdy, 40-something-year-old dad. I grew up watching John Carpenter's movies, like, religiously, and this is our love letter to The Thing and Outpost 31. You have some fun little facts about this one.
Yeah, a couple neat things with this is one, we've got our senior technical level designer, Michael Kissinger, has worked a lot on a dynamic weather system for this map to go in and out of having blizzards. So your visibility can be greatly reduced, kind of push you into some of the facilities and then open up again partway through waves. And then this map has been spearheaded by Jeremy Raymond, our senior level designer, and he was a big fan of the Outpost map in Killing Floor 2. So you'll see some inspiration from that.
I just want to throw out, for those who don't know, Michael Kissinger, you might know as Fell, for those of you who have been in the KF community forever, and Chris Goodwin down there, Swift Brutal Death. That's how you might also know him in his fantastic work.
Oh my God, it's him.
Yeah.
All right, real world guns. I felt really aggressive just showing a gun to a room full of people and being like, there it is, right? Basically, the goal is to give you guys as many tools as possible to kill shit with, right? We are making the game pretty damn difficult, and you're going to need every tool possible, from new guns, various gadgets, tools, grenades, throwables. All of these are tools for you to fight Horzine back.
And don't forget the weapon mods that come with those new guns. That completely change how many of them work, including the existing ones.
We didn't rehearse this part at all, so I'm going to get a bunch of eyeballs, but the mod for this gun is actually a quad barrel as well, so that's pretty intense. I also saw an animation just beforehand, one thing new, like you'll remember this gun from KF2, but how do we make it even better for KF3? I saw an animation Friday from our lead animator, Daniel, that has a half load and full reload animation subtlety. So it's like on a half reload, if you only shoot one of those barrels, you'll actually use your thumb to cover the unspent barrel when you flick it out. So like that little level of detail and love that they're putting into it is something that we're really excited to share with you guys in the near future. I also just love this gun, so I was like, we gotta get this gun back in here.
Returning classics, old favorites, and potentially some new ones too.
Yeah, so some of these last ones you see here are guns that have never been in the Killing Floor franchise, but they very much fit with the DNA of what KF is. So Rob Dion, who I believe just had his like 18th anniversary, has been making guns forever for Killing Floor, and the effort that he and his team are putting into these guns, it's wild, like every little nut and bolt and inner chamber piece. So we can't wait for you guys to get your hands on these and kill monsters with them. And then obviously, if there's any DJ Scully fans out there, okay, that guy's ready for it. Awesome. Here's the thing, is bringing back fan favorites. Like if you guys read Mason and Matt, some of the team, they wrote up a little bit of a deep dive into Mr. Foster recently. If you check out our blog, you learn a little bit about Jason Fleming, this awesome actor who did the VO for him. You read a little bit about his lore, how he's a clone of the original Mr. Foster. The only thing lore-wise I will confirm is this is the original DJ Scully. How did that happen? I don't have to explain it right now, but we're in this near future. We've literally got Doc Brown's son here, so believe me, anything is possible at this point, right? But it's not only bringing back fan favorites, but then introducing you to all new characters as well. So we've had a lot of fun exploring what new members of Nightfall will look like, and we can't wait to see you guys use them, those new guns, in those new maps, and fight Zeds in the near future. We're going to move on to a Q&A quick. I think we've got a mic set up here. Mike? We have Mike as the mic enforcer.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, feel free to line up and we can answer some questions for you. We will kind of keep some questions to a certain time period because we also then have a giveaway and raffle that we have. And
Hopefully
then
you got those raffle tickets when you came in.
Yeah, and then we also have like an area outside over here, so if you guys want to get like a poster signed or you have additional questions or anything like that, we'll be hanging around a little bit afterwards to talk to you as well.
Or come visit me at the Alien booth and play Killing Floor 3 in triple 4K.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Got a question for you. So we're talking about the development of maps. What was your favorite enemy, either a new design or a one that you're rehashing for Killing Floor 3? Which one was your favorite to work on, just development-wise?
I will, like, why don't you start? You tell me yours.
The Husk.
The Husk?
I think the Husk was probably my favorite in Killing Floor 2, and then what we've done with it in Killing Floor 3 in terms of giving it the abilities to leap up onto buildings and leap from building to building. It just adds a whole other layer of where the player needs to look and engage in combat, and it gives the sharpshooter something to really account for and take out. That'll help the team a lot. So it's the Husk, hands down, for me.
I'm going to say Scrake. Grew up a big Friday the 13th fan. We really wanted that element in there. If you guys haven't seen, we did this awesome kind of like marketing beat with this guy called Sculpture Geek, where he did like a real world sculpture of the Scrake, and just seeing that come to life when it was like an idea in your head, and then seeing how many players that the Scrake has killed. It sounds a little weird, but it's really enjoyable.
Chris is correct. It's the Husk.
Thanks, Jared.
I'm going to go
Solidarity.
with the newly redesigned Cyst. Just seeing the first concept art for that was pretty gnarly. And then we spent a lot of time on that first Zed reveal video. That was one of the first creatures, I think, after our Flesh Pound teaser trailer that everybody got to see. So
It was aggressive.
yeah, working on the Cyst video was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. I was wondering if there's any plans for any more like progressional maps like Zed's Landing, where, you know, the kind of map evolves as it continues to go on in the waves.
I can't say that we have specific plans at this time, but I've definitely enjoyed some of the more kind of dynamic and evolving maps from KF2, and any opportunity that we have to, you know, expand on and do some cool cinematic stuff like that, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, epic advancement on the gameplay. Looks like it's going to be even better than the past games.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of the Killing Floor, and I also play Killing Floor Incursion on PS1 on VR. And with the VR2 and advancements and everything, is there any plans post-launch to maybe bring any older games or this one to VR? Possibly?
Not at this time, just due to kind of some of the technical limitations of this, but yeah, Killing Floor Incursion was definitely a really enjoyable experience, and it's interesting to see how many people are always looking for more Killing Floor in VR, so can't confirm or deny anything, but KF3, we're definitely focused, you know, on console and PC at this point.
Looks great. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello. Basic question for you guys. What was your favorite map to design in Killing Floor 2, and what is your favorite map to have designed now for Killing Floor 3?
This is you all over this.
Monster Ball for Killing Floor 2. And it was a little bit of the reasoning for that is it was just such a great culmination of a lot of people's efforts. And multiple level designers worked on it. We had a lot of really great concept art that was developed for it when it was in Gray Box. Michael Kissinger was prototyping out some of the traps for us. That, along with the themed Zeds of all the classic horror themed Zeds that all came in line with that, was just the stars aligned for that one, for how I feel about the team putting together a great product. And for this one, Factory, I think, is my favorite for KF3 so far.
Factory, okay.
Thank you.
I just kind of want to segue from there and say my favorite like KF2 map story, not to shame anybody, to just kind of go into how much detail some of our artists put into things. One of the first maps to really come together was Burning Paris. And that fantastic, beautiful vista, great gameplay loop. It was really fun to play, but it was also one of our first, hey guys, there seems to be a performance issue in this map, what is it? And then somebody noticed, whenever you look down this street, that's when this issue happens. And then we kind of narrowed it down. It's the ambulance that has the world's most detailed ambulance interior. But the doors are closed and you can't see it.
We just assumed you'd all end up in the back of it after fighting Zed, so maybe that was the thought process. But I would actually say that Burning Paris visually was one of my favorite maps, but then Monster Ball gameplay-wise was one of my favorite ones, and it was a huge spark point for KF3 with the interactable elements. And then for KF3, I am very partial to Sewer right now, but there's another map called Convoy that is very much a love letter to like Mountain Pass. If you guys are familiar with that map, that is just visually a really, it has this like weird balance of being like visually beautiful but scary as well. It's kind of like the sun is setting in it, and you can kind of get the like sun peeking over the trees, but then you're getting chased by these monsters, and it's like, this is a good place to die.
Good morning. So
Morning.
I I played the closed beta recently for 3, and I really, really had fun and enjoyed it.
Cool,
so
thank
this
you.
is kind of a two-parter. Will we be seeing in the beta? There was a home base with a helipad. Are we going to be seeing like a lot more of that, more Easter eggs, or more things like within the base? And the second part to that is, what was some of the best feedback you received from the beta that you will take on into the game?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the Stronghold is definitely a big part of the space, right? It's almost similar to this room, right? Like it's a social space. It's where you and your friends can come together, kind of discuss your plans. What are you playing today? Who's playing what? Who's going to focus on these Zeds? And that space has been built for expansion. So in the future, there will be more things to do. I want to tell you so much right now. Like even the way we introduce like DJ Scully, there's elements of that are kind of in the space. I think right before you guys came in, I was telling these guys about Easter eggs within Stronghold. I'll actually even this is what I will confirm. There are things that we have hidden in the world, and especially in the Stronghold, but in other maps that allude to what the future can be, right? Okay. Some of them are literally right underneath your nose. You have the ability to put text and sounds throughout this game, and they don't need to just be like lorem ipsum, right? Just like numbers on a paper. It could be as simple as a reference to some weird 80s horror movie that I really liked as a kid. But it could also be something as detailed as where could that next map be, or who could a future team member of Nightfall be, right? So that's kind of where Stronghold plays an element in it. It's also a big core loop with like crafting weapon mods and crafting skills and elements like that. But also, if you just don't want to run through the Stronghold as much, all of those menus, you can simply navigate through your menus, right? As far as feedback goes, for me, one of the biggest things was gunplay. Right? Obviously, performance was a big thing, but for me, like, we talk about killing floors, you and your friends back-to-back fighting Zeds, and getting that feedback on gunplay and what are the things that you guys want to see and where we can push ourselves. Our team really took that to heart and really pushed themselves, and they've made some really significant things. I think there's a few of you guys out there that actually got to play yesterday, and like seeing you guys use the Bone Breaker shotgun and get this like little grin on your face when shooting a Zed's head off. It felt good. If you didn't get a chance, though, please stop by the booth and play with Jared today.
Thank you. Looking forward to the game.
Thank you.
And I will say, like, from a community manager perspective, all the feedback was the best feedback, especially when you told me why. Hey, I don't like this. Neat. Why?
Yeah.
Give me some details.
Hi, hello. This is a question for like, are we gonna see any like unique weaponry? Like, for example, in Killing Floor 2, the one of the medic weapons, like the healing RPG. So are we going to see any more unique, silly weapons for Killing Floor 3?
So right now we're definitely focused on, I wouldn't say a more serious tone, but like weapons that are really all about ripping through Zeds. But I will say one of the things, like if you're in a medic, one of the things that has changed since the beta is the ability to heal. Like everything has the ability to heal. Like you're going to see a video in the very near future highlighting some of the weapons. And there's a gun, the tier 1 medic that's very heavily inspired by like a Mac 10, Mac 11. Like what would one of those look like 30, 40 years from now? But it has this pre-built mod underneath it in the front that allows you to alt fire and like heal your teammates and stuff like that. So, but it's not to say as far as like more lighthearted weapons that couldn't come in the future as well. But definitely right now we're trying to find as many ways as possible to shred, rip, shoot, and destroy Zeds and showcase that Meat 2.0 as much as possible.
No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. First of all, great show so far. Thanks for coming out. I'm really curious about the identity of Killing Floor and how you kind of view that, because it's a big mix of, you know, like if you said 80s horror, your Cronenbergs and stuff, and then your high-octane action, but you also have those creepy little Easter eggs, like that voice. Yep. When you go into designing and making different features and content, how do you balance that horror element and how much you want to scare and unnerve the player, then how much you want to give them that like power fantasy, kind of ripping and tearing everything? Yeah, absolutely. So for me, the balance is usually pushing players where we're stressing them. Like it's not like other games where it's like you against the world and you're totally equipped to take on everything.
You want to talk about some of those references. Like one of the games or one of the movies that we used very early on was actually Aliens and Predator. Now, those are the most overused references in any pop culture ever. So what does that mean for Killing Floor, and what does that mean for our identity? It's basically, in those movies, you had groups of these badasses with all of these tools at their disposal, and they just barely survived. Killing Floor is at its best when we end a play match, and it's like all of us are playing, and it's like just Chris survives, right? And we're like on the edge of our seat, wiping the sweat from our brow, that moment of like get to the chopper, right? That like just barely surviving. And I think that's that balance of horror and action where you're pushing people to the edge of their seats, but giving them enough tools, but kind of managing their resources as well to fight these enemies. So it's not like a complete power fantasy, but it's not like this, you know, game where you have a flashlight and 6 bullets. Where is that in between to kind of find the perfect balance between action and horror?
I was going to say, I'm sure many of you have been in a late night session with friends where you were holding great, everything was perfect, and then the Scrake busted into the room, and you all went different directions, and then there's a lot of screaming about where you're all meeting up, and then who's chasing who, and hopefully you all didn't die, but many of you did. And then in text chat, there was a lot of www. Oh, I opened the console. My bad.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, a little less serious question about development. I was just curious, because in Killing Floor 2, I absolutely adored the weapon functions, and in Killing Floor 3, I'm assuming you put just as, like you said, it's just as much detail. Have any of you guys fired weapons and like gotten that actual experience? And then I have a second question. Are you guys even a balanced squad when you play? Like, do you guys get pretty high in the floors?
I'll start with the balance one. There's a reason we didn't play Hell on Earth. Like we have a group that is a series of fans that are very intense, and we play test and we observe them, and they keep joking. Rage Quitters, I'm sure you're watching this. He has invited me multiple times to play Hell on Earth and teach me how to survive at that level. So I'll probably need to take you up on that. Can you? Are you at Hell on Earth level? Like, can you in the level design team?
If we set
Strong
so
flex.
with the balance when we're testing stuff out is we have certain levels of character. So if we're doing the lower stuff with normal, then we'll set it to 0 to 5, and if we're doing hard, we go up to 15. And Hell on Earth as we max some of the stuff out. So we have systems in place of like how we want to test that stuff out appropriately.
Yeah. As far as shooting real world weapons, I was literally just showing these guys where I did a test at a gun range like the first month of development where I had to use a shotgun to shoot a paper target of saving a hostage. I did it better than you think, so if you're ever in that scenario, I got your guys back. You might get 1 or 2 pellets peppered into your cheek, but let's be honest, you'll get a really cool story out of it.
I'll just add on to that, because it's been a little bit different since we went all work from home, but there are times when the majority of Tripwire has had some range time, has had time with all the weapons. Like our 3D artists have had weapons, you know, disassembled in front of them so they see how they work and how stuff works. Okay. So there's a lot of people who care very deeply about not just the looks, but the feel and things like that.
I have one more follow-up question.
Please.
Do you guys have favorite weapons that you got to shoot in real life?
MP5.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, MP5 Auto was
MP5 is the easiest and greatest weapon to feel, but shooting like an MG42 or MG3, the modern equivalent, there's nothing like it. It's just weird.
Because I fired M14s. They're like the snipers and stuff like that. They're amazing.
Yeah. Fun fact, that was the first trip that I was given a business credit card on, so thank you, Matt, because that was shocking. Taking like 15 developers to the gun range, and they're like, and here's your bill, sir. And I was like,
Oh my God.
That's a lot of bullets.
Thank you so much.
They go really fast. Thank you. Full automatic weapons.
Yeah.
Hi, how have you guys addressed game optimization since the beta, and what can we expect out of optimization at launch?
Yeah, for sure. So performance was one of the larger bits of feedback. Aaron Molina, our technical director, and in all honesty, every developer, because performance is a little bit of everyone's job, we've been really focused on it. And in fact, that is basically our primary focus right now is like balance, bug fixing, and performance. And I mean, like, we literally sent Jared with a build Thursday at the booth?
Wednesday, but yeah, starting Thursday.
We had an updated build for him yesterday. So if you came by the booth Thursday and you played it, go back to the booth today. There is already a new build with better performance, more updates, more balance in there. So basically every day we're just continuing to look at any element that we can improve performance to make the game enjoyable for everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Just a quick question. Besides, thank you for DJ Scully and everything.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Just a silly question. Are characters going to be into perks? Like how like it's okay. Like I'm so excited for this new game. I really am. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to play and everything. But is that like something that could continue? Because I'm okay with it. But that's just a quick question.
I appreciate it. I will address, obviously, one of the elephants in the room. Another big bit of feedback was basically specialists, right? Let's talk about what specialists mean, right? So originally, the idea was to essentially role play as one of these badass individuals on the team. Learn a little bit more about their story, how they joined Nightfall, what makes them unique. How do you coordinate as a team to fight alongside each other? We missed the mark with that, right? You guys want that freedom and player choice to be any one of these characters that you enjoy and to do any perk. So outside of working on performance, there's also a group of artists, designers, and developers working on what does it look like for any specialist to be any perk. And we kind of attack that from even a creative standpoint. So Cordelia Claimley, who's the leader of Nightfall, how would she come to the team and be like, I need all of you guys to use all of each other's equipments. I need you to not only be an awesome commando, but I need you to be an awesome sharpshooter as well. I need you also to be an awesome firebug, right? So that is something that the team is working on, that you will have that option post-launch. It is one of our highest priorities to address that bit of feedback now.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
I will say we're coming up near our end. I do believe we do need to get our raffle. So let's try and do one more question quickly, and then everybody else kind of meet us outside, and we'll be happy to continue.
Cool, thank you.
All right. I was just wondering, will we see the return of Krampus and Bansetta and some events going on?
I will say that there is a bad Santa Easter egg that I was telling these guys about that was hidden. So he's at least acknowledged that it is somewhere within the world. How that evolves, we will have to see.
Depends on how naughty or nice y'all are.
Oh my God. All right, so I'm going to pass it to our...
The tickets right there.
Tickets right there. I'm going to pass it to Trent to do a little bit of a raffle for you guys.
Here you go, Jared.
Oh, inside here? All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I'll let you draw.
Okay. All right.
What is it?
And you know exactly which one. That's for last week's one, or the parallel dimension. We're going to do 192239.
39.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. And that was for the keyboard. All right, Alienware keyboard. Massive thank you to Alienware. Now we're going to do for the Alienware Pro Wireless Gaming Mouse, 192232. Oh, yeah. Okay, so one of the things that you guys don't see up on the board, but that we'll be giving away is there is SteelSeries Apex Pro TKL keyboard. That's the one that's given away here. Yep. We're going to do 192230. Yeah, we're going to be sending that one out to you, but if come on up, we'll get your information.
Yep, same for the copies of Killing Floor 3 too. We'll give out a few of those.
So yeah, if you guys want to hang out up here, we'll get that for you. And now we're going to do the SteelSeries headset. And this is going to be 215. Anyone's ending in 215, so it'll be 192215. All right. And now we're going to
5 copies of the game.
Speed raffle 5 copies of the game. So if you come up here, we'll get your info and then send you a copy. We're going to start with 271, 103, 102, and 241, and then 165. So once again, numbers 192271, come on up. 192103, come on up. And then 192102, 192241, and then 192165. Come on up for a free copy. We've got 4 seconds. We'll meet you guys in the lobby. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us.
Thank you.